Hey, Larken Rose here. How many movies have you seen where there's some extremist terrorist group plotting to overthrow the government or assassinate somebody or do all these nasty anti-government things? Ooh, how dare you? And how often is it anywhere near an accurate portrayal of what actually happens, or even an accurate portrayal of what people think? In the real world, lots of people, myself included, think government is heinously corrupt and destructive and evil just constantly. A bunch of stuff it does in secret, and a bunch of stuff it does right out in the open that's just fascist and immoral. But it's funny that in all these movies, you'll see, like, oh, these sneaky people, and they're trying to, like, blow up a subway or blow up this building or kill a bunch of innocent people to make a statement. Project much, Mr. and Mrs. Government? That's what you do. You kill innocent people to make a statement to have an excuse to push your political agenda. That's what governments have been doing for hundreds of years. And it's funny to watch the Hollywood portrayal and the government portrayal of what anti-government looks like, because they have to demonize people who are anti-government. And so they have to make them out to be these terrorists who want to kill innocent people and this and that. Basically exactly what they are. Exactly what the FBI actually is, and what the DEA actually is, and what ICE actually is, and what the ATF actually is, and what the U.S. military actually is. These evil, power-happy gangs of mindless thugs who absolutely victimize innocent people to increase their own power. That's the reality. But in all these shows that are just statist propaganda, first of all, they do the thing of trying to make, no, the law and order and the police are there to save the day and protect innocent people from those mean terrorists. Yeah, that's not ever what actually happens. Government is always the biggest terrorist around. So they completely mischaracterize themselves, but then they completely mischaracterize people who are anti-government. And I should know I'm anti-government. 100%, start to finish, all the way, absolutely anti-government. And it's sort of funny to me how often political parasites who wield political power try to stick the label of anti-government on a bunch of people who are still complete bootlickers. Like, oh, those Republicans are anti-government. No, they're not. They're bootlicking, nationalistic, authoritarian bozos who absolutely believe in a giant parasitical ruling class. They're not anti-government. I am. And they'll sometimes portray, like, the left is these, they're anti-government. Like Antifa is anti-government. No, they're not in any way, shape, or form. They're pushing for socialist bullshit and their own brand of political domination. So nobody on the normal spectrum is actually anti-government. Again, I should know, because I'm actually anti-government. And want to know what that means? Does it mean I, like, blow up innocent people and I plot scary terrorist activities? No, it means I'm against initiating violence against anybody. I only believe in the use of physical force to defend against aggressors. Which may sound kind of peaceful and civilized to you. Because it is. As a matter of fact, it's the only peaceful, civilized position, unlike what every single person who believes in government might assume. Because all of them advocate that their neighbors be violently robbed in the name of taxation, and violently dominated in the name of regulation and legislation, and controlled and every aspect of their lives monitored and dominated and limited and all that stuff. None of them are for peaceful coexistence. 0 Democrats and 0 Republicans, not one anywhere, is for actual peaceful coexistence. Now, in their daily lives, they may behave themselves as if they're peaceful and they're friendly and they're civilized. They're not running around attacking and robbing people. No, they're voting for somebody else to run around attacking, robbing people for them. Because they're not civilized, they're uncivilized, and they're also freaking cowards. literally a carjacker who goes around just robbing people at gunpoint, yeah, you're a despicable, immoral human being, but at least you're doing it yourself and you're honest. Whereas the voter wants government in the name of paying your fair share and the price of... They want government violently robbing all their neighbors, but they take no responsibility for personally advocating exactly that. So these are the people watching these movies and thinking, oh, those mean anti-government people. Well, as somebody who is all the way anti-government, because government is all the way anti-human and inherently immoral and destructive and all that, I can tell you how ridiculous and unrealistic and ironic the government portrayal of anti-government people actually is. For example, me. Are they spying on me? Probably. What's that accomplishing? Well, if they carefully spy on all these things, they'll find out that when I'm not on camera and there's no microphones, I say exactly what I say in front of a camera constantly. Because I don't need plots and schemes and like planning terrorist actions to actually explain morality and describe why government is inherently anti-freedom and anti-justice and anti-human and inherently immoral and violent. Like, I say that right out in the open. So they want this giant surveillance state, which is profoundly evil. They want to spy on everybody. They want power over everybody because that's what they are. They're the evil psychopaths they want to project onto other people. But what makes that sort of funny to me is I know a lot of other anti-government people. They're anti-government because they're pro-peace. And the two are mutually exclusive. They're anti-government because they're anti-violence. And you can't be pro-government and anti-violence. Government is violence. I mean, frickin' George Washington even explained that. Government is not reason. It is not eloquence. It is force. It's a gang of thugs who says, do this, don't do that. We'll send our armed thugs to beat you up if you disobey us. That's the reality. All of you know that. None of you say it that way, because then you would feel bad about the fact that you are the violent, immoral idiots advocating that on a daily basis. Meanwhile, us fringe extremists advocate that you be allowed to live your own life and spend your own money and make your own choices. And if you're not like attacking or robbing somebody else, we don't want anybody using force against you. If you're attacking somebody else, yeah, we hope somebody stops you by force if necessary, because that's just the most fundamental moral principle of being a human being. It's also known as the non-aggression principle. Yeah, you have the right to defend yourself from aggressors. You don't have the right to be an aggressor. You don't have the right to start a fight. And I could get way more into depth about that. You can look up lots of videos about that. Look up the non-aggression principle. Look up the term voluntarism. Look up all that. But what's so funny is when they have this surveillance state, because we want to know who out there is against the U.S. government. Me, I'm against you evil shits, because you're in favor of initiating violence against massive numbers of people. And you do it in the name of taxation, you do it in the name of immigration control, you do it in the name of war on drugs, you do it in the name of 8 million dumb little regulations that most people don't even know about until they try to like start a business or build a deck in their backyard. And they find out, oh no, you have to pay all these fees and get all these permits from these political parasites who produce exactly nothing of value. You need the permission of this gang of thugs known as government to live your own life on your own property, not threatening or hurting anybody. So lots of people kind of learn the hard way, oh, so the peaceful people who want to be left alone, that's who's being portrayed as anti-government, because they are. Because I am. I am absolutely anti-government. But the hysterical thing is this big surveillance state. I mean, it's hysterical. It's also just profoundly evil. They want to be able to keep tabs on all their livestock and make sure the livestock is doing as they're told and paying tribute to the masters. That's why they want it. It has nothing to do with stopping crime or anything of the sort. It has nothing to do with stopping terrorism. But it's sort of hysterical as somebody who just describes basic morality and says things like, you have the right to defend yourself from aggressors. And if the aggressor has a badge, It makes absolutely no moral difference whatsoever. If someone with a badge and a law comes along to steal your stuff, you have the absolute moral right to defend yourself by force if necessary, the same as if some random carjacker or some random thug or crook tried to do it. Now, because the gangs that have badges and they have laws and they have political parasites telling them to do that, because they have lots and lots of resources and lots of mindless, order-obeying thugs of the state, logistically speaking, a lot of the time it's not a great idea to try to resist their theft and thuggery because they outgun you and they outman you. Makes no difference to the moral question. They're still absolutely thieves. Taxation is still theft. More specifically, it's extortion because it's ongoing. It's a mafia racket. If you run business inside this line that's our territory, you're going to pay a cut to these political parasites, these lying scumbags who all they ever do is create division, create wars, create problems, and then say, give us more power and we'll protect you. And by the way, this whole time you have to pay tribute to us, or we steal your stuff, maybe we'll put you in a cage. It's just a mafia, it's just an extortion racket. But no, it's legal. The hell difference do you think that makes? So they sat down and they scribbled there, look, we're doing these rituals and stuff, and we have like a House and a Senate and a president, and we signed all this stuff. Now it's good, because we did all these stupid pseudo-religious rituals. Now we're allowed to rob you. The street gang or the common purse snatcher or carjacker, they're not allowed to, because they're just people. We're not just people, we're a government. So we magically have rights that you stupid mere mortals don't have. We have the right to violently dominate you in 1,000 different ways, even if you're not threatening and hurting anybody. Well, those who recognize the inherent insanity and evil of that belief and the superstitious belief in authority and political authority, the idea that ruling classes can be legitimate, well, we have elections and constitutions and a bunch of stupid excuses, so it's okay. It wasn't okay when kings did it, but now we have more complicated excuses for why we're entitled to just steal a bunch of your money. And by the way, we, the ruling class, get to decide how much of your money we steal. That's called deciding the tax rates. In other words, they will decide how much of what you earn you will be allowed to keep. Now, some of us recognize that as insane and immoral. The problem is, because almost all of us were indoctrinated into thinking that that's necessary and legitimate and righteous, yeah, we're sort of the fringe weirdos because we're the people who actually got around to thinking about that and saying, how the hell are they pretending that some weird rituals made it so those mere mortal human beings, and they're not even average, they're not good, they're despicable pieces of crap. How did the despicable pieces of crap acquire the right to forcibly demand money from the rest of us when we're like living our lives and trading and, you know, doing the whole peaceful coexistence things, and this giant parasite known as government pretends they have the right to do this? Well, some of us along the line, for one reason or another, heard about this, read a book, heard a speech, whatever, or just started pondering things and thought about it and decided that's bogus, that's insane. That's what makes you anti-government. If you learn how to think and you apply basic moral principles to everybody, you are automatically going to be anti-government. If you're a Christian and you believe in thou shalt not steal, is there a footnote that says, unless you're the IRS, unless you're working for the government, then it's okay to steal? I don't recall a footnote. You can go look that up in your Bible. So if you pretend to believe in the Bible, then thou shalt not steal should also mean thou shalt not steal even if you do a bunch of weird rituals beforehand and call it taxation and say it's for the common good and it's necessary and it's the price we pay for civilization and all the other bullshit excuses you might come up with. Those of us who are anti-government are just anti-bullshit, and that's all. We just think that there's no such thing as a special class that has an exemption from morality. That all by itself makes one anti-government. Because I think the guy with a badge and a police uniform is just a human being. right and wrong are the same for him as they are for me or anybody else, any other random person I'm passing down the street. Which makes me a dangerous extremist. I also think that the lying crooks who run for office and then pass all these threats and demands and call it legislation and law, they're just human beings too. They don't have any rights that you don't have and that I don't have. And they're all lying scumbags too, and most of us know that by now. But they're also lying scumbags to whom morality applies the same as it applies to everybody else. And just understanding that makes me anti-government. But there they have their big surveillance state that they're setting up with the help of Mango Mussolini, pushing that forward, the whole Palantir thing. If you haven't heard of that, look it up. It's even a reference to like the evil stones from Lord of the Rings that the evil psychos used to spy on. Like, they named their evil spy thing after an evil spy thing in a fictional story. So that shows how much they're bothering to hide how psychopathic they are. Be that as it may, when you're talking about this surveillance state, yeah, they want to control all finance and communication, and they want to be looking out. But to me, that's the funniest thing. Because, yeah, there are some people who are quietly like, maybe I don't trust government. And they'll say it in quiet whispers. And government spies will be like, oh, we heard you in the corner saying you don't like government. Okay? Government is shit. It's immoral shit. I'm saying it right here. You don't really need to spy on me. Like, I'll say that in private, too. I'll say that everywhere, because it's still true. And I'll say it in front of a camera, in front of a microphone. So, getting back to the movies and the things like, oh, we have to spy on these clandestine organizations. Well, my organization, first of all, is just me. Now, I know lots of other people who agree with me about a bunch of stuff, and we also want, like, peaceful coexistence, no masters and no slaves, which, by the way, that's literally what anarchist means. Anarchy means without rulers. That's all. The political term doesn't mean chaos and mayhem and end of the world and Molotov cocktails or any of that crap that the ruling class constantly wants to portray it as. It literally means I don't want you to have a master. I don't think anyone has the right to rule you. They also don't have a right to rule me. They don't have a right to rule anybody. But think from their position of these propagandist political parasites, how weird it is. If you're just some random person out there living your life, minding your own business, you don't really think about these things, like you have an actual life, things that at least to you seem more important, like your daily things that you have to accomplish and stuff, that's fine. And these parasites have to look at you and go, oh, we have to make sure that those people out there aren't listening to people like Larken Rose who are telling them that nobody should rob them. Oh, this clandestine, secret bunch of anarchists who are saying that human beings should interact voluntarily and that force is only justified to defend against attackers and aggressors. It's kind of funny. Now, they're evil in so many ways, and they constantly commit heinous acts and atrocities all over the place, domestically and abroad. So that makes it hard to laugh at too much, but it's still kind of funny that you have this clandestine organization of power-happy shits known as the government spying on people like me who are just saying it out in the open. Government is illegitimate. Authority is illegitimate. Morality applies the same to everyone. Badges don't change it. Legislation doesn't change it. Nobody has some magical special right to rule. We've gone from the divine right of kings to the divine right of politicians. And the excuse is more convoluted because now it's like, oh, elections and constitutions and appointments and the different branches and the checks and oh, shut up. You just made the excuse more complicated. It's still just as stupid as the divine right of kings. I get to rule you because my family ruled your family for a long time, so I'm allowed to? Is that your moral code? Well, people sort of outgrew that and said, okay, we don't believe that crap anymore. So the lying scumbag parasite said, we need to come up with a more complicated lie, so at least lots of people will get confused and not follow and go, I guess somewhere in there, that's like consent of the people, and they're representing us when they boss us around and steal our stuff. And we consented when they gave us 2 lying crooks and told us we get to choose which one is going to rob us and dominate us. I guess that counts as us consenting. Like, the lie is a big, complicated, ridiculous, convoluted mess. It's not any more rational than Divine Right of Kings. But the funniest thing to me is that these slime bags who hide so much of what they do. You're not allowed to just go into the FBI and go, hey, what have you been up to? Can I see your records? Go into the CIA. So, what have you been doing? Can I see, like, whether you're spying on me, NSA, DEA, ATF? They're gangs. They do everything in secret, and then they spring it on people and violently attack people. ICE is the same way. They're a gang of violent thugs doing things in secret, ambushing people, viewing everything as a potential violent conflict. And the ultimate irony is those of us out here saying there shouldn't be ruling classes. Morality applies the same to everybody. There shouldn't be aggressors. Human interaction should be voluntary. And when force is used, it's only justified to defend against aggressors. The fact that these power-happy violent scumbags have to try to portray people like me as dangerous anti-government extremists. I'm absolutely anti-government, because government is anti-human. Am I dangerous? Well, if you violently attack me, I might be, and you frickin' deserve it. Whether you're an attacker with a badge or an attacker without a badge. If you start a fight, you're the bad guy. And scribbles called legislation don't change that. Badges don't change that. And there's lots and lots of decent human beings who know how to mind their own business and peacefully coexist, who you might view as dangerous if you're a carjacker or a purse thief or a tax collector. Because how dare those people ever talk about the possibility of trying to not let us rob them? And they have to try to portray that as, oh, you're this despicable criminal because you won't let us rob you. It's bonkers. It's insane. And the people who think about this and have gone through the process and now understand it, they look back and just go, this is so loony. How did I ever believe this? And maybe that's still you. Maybe you're still in the position of still believing it, because that's what most people believe. It's what I believed for a long time, because we're surrounded by people who say, yeah, government, here's this civics lesson. It'll be a bunch of convoluted noise in high school, and you'll forget it all. But you'll sort of have this general impression that, oh yeah, government's allowed to do that, and if not for government, we'd all be killing and eating each other or something. There's some reason why it's legitimate and okay, and us mere peasants are morally obligated to pay tribute to these crooks and do whatever they tell us to do when they call it law. It's what most people believe because they were brainwashed into thinking that and indoctrinated into that and propagandized into that, including myself and almost everybody I know. That's where we started, because we grew up in a society where the political parasites and thugs and thieves trained their victims to feel obligated to be victimized. But then this weird backwards reality shows up where some of us go, you're not obligated to be victimized by those scumbags. Republican, Democrat, I don't care. The politicians don't have the right to steal money from you. Now, you might go along because they do have the ability to make your life kind of unpleasant, just like mafia thug might be able to, just like street gang might be able to. Carjacker with a gun in your face, you might choose to go along just to avoid getting your head blown off. That's not the same as you having a moral obligation to pay tribute to some thief. So when weird extremists like me come along and say, you're not obligated to pay tribute to those lying scumbags, Democrat, Republican, whatever, all the crooks and would-be tyrants calling themselves government, they have no right to rule you. And it's so funny that government has to try to portray that, try to convince you that that mentality is dangerous and these people are gonna like blow up innocent people. No, that's literally against the main primary thing I believe in, which is non-aggression. It's also what you and government do all the time. Your law enforcer thugs and your military thugs. So it's 100% projecting. And in all these shows where there's like some sneaky, we're gonna like look into, we're spying and keeping eyes on it. You can keep your eyes on me all you want. I mean, you're still spying evil bastards. But I'm saying it out loud. And the more people recognize the reality of this and recognize the moral principles involved and say them out loud, the more ridiculous the surveillance state gets. And imagine if you're the power-happy thugs or even one of their stupid little underlings, like going through the program. How many people are saying government sucks? Wow, a lot. How many people are saying taxation is theft? Holy crap. Tens of millions of people are now saying that. Okay, who's a threat to government? Well, if we don't attack them, none of them. None of them are a threat to anybody. They're not going to go out of their way to start a fight. But who might defend themselves if we go attack them? Lots of them. And the people in government want to portray that as, see how violent they are? It's like a carjacker. See how violent this guy is? All I did was point a gun in his face and tell him to hand me his keys, and he threatened to shoot me. Yeah, that's because you're the aggressor and he was defending himself, you stupid piece of shit. Government does the same thing. They play the victim. They are the biggest thief in the world. They're the biggest thug in the world. They're the biggest murderer in the world. They're also the biggest criminal by their own standards in the world. They're the biggest drug runners. They're the biggest gun runners. They're the biggest sex traffickers. Like all the things they say, we have to be scared of this. They're doing it more than anybody else. And more people are learning that. But the fact that these evil psychos 100% of the time have to project what they actually are onto people like me, pointing out how evil that is, pointing out how anti-human and immoral government inherently is. It would be funny if it wasn't so evil. I'm this scary extremist over here secretly saying, well, secretly in front of this camera, all human interaction should be voluntary. If somebody attacks you, you have the right to defend yourself. You don't have the right to attack somebody else if it's not defending against an aggressor. Look, that's what I actually believe. You don't have to like spy on me to find that out. I say it. I've been saying it for almost 30 years now. I've been writing books about it. I've been saying it in a zillion different ways. We better spy on this guy. To find me saying the same thing over and over again. But it's so, again, if it wasn't for all the evil, violent, psychopathic, authoritarian crap they were doing, this would be funny. It's like a gang of street thugs going out there and going, there's scary people in this neighborhood. Who? The people who said that if we try to beat them up and rob them, they might defend themselves? Like, they might actually fight back? Well, they're the scary people? Like, how hard are you going to have to try to convince the rest of the people in the neighborhood that the bad guys are the ones who don't want them to be robbed and don't want them to be attacked and don't want them to be victimized? Because that's what voluntarists are. They're people who want you to be free. And if you vote Democrat, Republican, if you still believe in government, as I did for many years, you don't even want yourself to be free, much less anybody else. And so there's this weird situation where this ruling class of thugs and thieves who boss you around and take your money are trying really hard and often succeeding at getting you to view people like me as a threat because I don't think anyone has the right to rule you. I think you have the right to run your own life, and nobody else has the right to rob you or dominate you or boss you around. What does it say about you and your level of indoctrination if you're scared of me because a bunch of actual thugs and thieves have informed you that I am opposed to the thuggery and thievery being committed against you? Are you really going to fear me and hate me and resent me and condemn me and attack me because I want freedom for you? The answer is, yeah, you probably are, until you think about this stuff and get out of the mindset we were all trained into. And then reality will look as bonkers to you as it does to people like me already.